Long before the world knew her name, before paintings, prayers, and processions, before bells rang from towers and incense filled the air, there was a girl. She lived in a small town most people ignored, a place called Nazareth, a village so ordinary that people would later ask, almost mockingly, whether anything good could come from it. Life there moved slowly. Days were shaped by simple routines, drawing water, preparing meals, praying ancient prayers learned by heart. Nothing about Nazareth suggested that history was waiting there. And yet, that is where God chose to begin. Mary was not born into wealth or influence. She was born into simplicity. She belonged to a people who had waited centuries for God's promise. Like other daughters of Israel, she grew up hearing the stories of Abraham's trust, of Moses and the sea, of David and the Psalms. These stories shaped her soul. They taught her how to listen, how to hope, how to wait. Her life was quiet, ordinary, faithful, until one ordinary moment became eternal. Into her silence came a voice that did not shatter the world, but gently entered it. An angel spoke her name, not with force, not with fear, but with invitation. Rejoice, full of grace. In that moment, everything hung in balance. God did not impose his will. He waited. The freedom of a young woman mattered to him. Mary did not fully understand what was being asked of her. She asked questions. She wondered. She trembled. And then she said yes. A simple word, a total surrender. In that yes, eternity touched time. The infinite entered the finite. God chose to become small. Christianity did not begin with a sermon or a miracle. It began with trust. Mary carried the Son of God before the world knew who he was. She carried him through uncertainty, through whispers and questions, through journeys and sleepless nights. She felt his first movements. She guarded the mystery growing within her. In Bethlehem, she wrapped him in cloth and laid him in a manger. She looked into the face of God made vulnerable. Shepherds came, angels sang, but afterward, life returned to quietness. She raised him, fed him, taught him to speak, to pray, to work. She watched him grow in wisdom and strength, knowing that he belonged not only to her, but to the world. She pondered many things in her heart. Not everything was clear. Faith did not erase mystery, it deepened it. As Jesus grew, Mary learned to let go. She followed his life from the background. At Cana, she noticed a need before anyone else did. She spoke quietly, confidently, trusting him completely. Do whatever he tells you. These were not just words to servants, they were the posture of her life. She heard stories of healings and crowds. She sensed that his path was leading somewhere difficult, and still she trusted. Then came the cross. The same child she once cradled now stood condemned. The hands she once held were pierced. The voice she once heard call her mother fell silent. Many fled, but Mary remained. She stood beneath the cross, not because she understood, but because love does not abandon. In that moment, her yes was renewed. Faith did not spare her suffering, it carried her through it. And the story did not end there. After the resurrection, after the shock of joy and disbelief, after Jesus ascended into heaven, the disciples gathered again, confused, afraid, waiting. They did not yet know how to carry this message to the world. Mary was with them. She prayed as she had always prayed. She waited as she had always waited. She trusted as she had always trusted. When the Holy Spirit descended at Pentecost, the church was born, not in certainty, but in fire and faith, and Mary was already part of it. She had carried Christ once before.
Now the church would carry him to the nations. As the years passed and the church spread across cultures and languages, questions arose. Who is Jesus truly? How could God become man? How could eternity enter history? And again, the church found itself returning to Mary. Not because she replaced Christ, but because she protected the truth about him. If Jesus is truly God made flesh, then the woman who gave him flesh mattered. If salvation truly entered the world, it did so through her free consent. Honoring Mary was never about elevating her above God. It was about proclaiming how deeply God had entered human life. Before doctrines were written, believers already remembered her. In the shadows of persecution, they painted her on the walls of the catacombs. They spoke her name softly in prayer. They saw in her a mirror of the church itself, listening, receiving, faithful. Over time, what hearts believed, the church expressed in words, slowly, carefully, reverently. Doctrine did not invent devotion, it clarified it. It protected what had been lived and prayed from the beginning. Mary never sought a throne. She never asked to be remembered, yet she remained, quietly, at the heart of the church. She teaches without preaching. She leads without commanding. She shows what grace can do in an ordinary life fully open to God. She does not draw attention to herself. She always points beyond herself. Do whatever he tells you. From Nazareth to Bethlehem, from the hidden years to the cross, from the upper room to the heart of the church, Mary's story is not a story of power or ambition. It is the story of faith lived daily, of surrender renewed again and again. And perhaps that is why the church still remembers her. Because in Mary, we see not a distant ideal, but a human soul who trusted God completely. And in her story, the church remembers how salvation entered the world, not with force, but with love, humility, and a willing heart.